Well, thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody. It's good to see you again. It's probably been about a month. Anyway, yeah, every day seems like Groundhog Day. We get up and we look at what's happened today and go through a series of meetings and phone calls and whatever we're preparing for the day before probably changed since the previous day. I noted, I think most of you saw this, but I noted it's still 100 days until our first kickoff. Put that in context, it's been 77 days since we were in Indianapolis and we shut down the Big Ten basketball tournament. So while it seems we've been in this current state for a lifetime, we still have that much and more until we have to finalize and get ready to kick off. I mostly see that as a positive, because if we can continue to move forward and make progress, the closer we get, I think the more chance we have. One of the most common questions, or the most common topic with lots of questions, are we going to play football? Are we going to play a full season? Are we going to start on time? Are there going to be fans? Are there not going to be fans? And those same questions, as I kind of observe and think about it, when are the states going to open up? When are the restaurants going to open up? When are the bars? When are, and once they do, how many people can you have? And what about the airlines? And I finally had a chance to go and get a haircut from someone other than my daughter. And all those things, if anybody tells you they know the answers to all these questions surrounding football, one, they're probably selling you positivity, and two, they're mostly guessing. And that's okay. It's just, the theme is nobody really knows what, when and how and exactly how it's all going to unfold. That being said, there are several things that feel like we're taking steps forward. When I look at the states are opening up, there is more access to testing. I think we're learning more about the treatment, and the treatment of those who do get infected seems to be very much improved. And in the sports world, I think there's a NASCAR race every other day, but it's a good thing that NASCAR is out there, and PGA is getting ready for their first main event, as well as the charity event that was last week. And I haven't watched it yet, but I hear there's baseball in other parts of the world, and soccer, and all those to be said, that we are learning more every day, and we have 100 more days. And my guess is we're gonna learn a lot between now and then. So with all that uncertainty, I'm still, and my staff are still planning for several different scenarios. And the scenarios we plan for seem to change by the day, by the hour, by the week. But as of today, we are still planning to open Kinnick up and have as many fans join us as want to join us. That's one of our scenarios, and we haven't closed that scenario down yet. We're also having to plan for something less than that. Whether it's 75% or 50% or something less than 100%. But we haven't at all let go of 100%. We're realistic. We're not expecting that we're going to have sellouts for every game by any stretch. But as of right now, that's still one of the modes that we're planning for. It's all going to be based on health and safety. Our student athletes, our coaches, and our staff that'll be working the game or playing the game, we'll make sure that they're ready to go from a safety standpoint. And then for our fans, and there's a whole litany of people that get involved before the athletic director. There's the CDC, there's our state, whatever our state laws are dictating. There's the Big Ten has a group that our commissioner put together. It's made up of health experts, doctors. Chris Cradaville from Nebraska is chairing that. And we have a representative from Iowa, Edith Parker, the dean of our College of Public Health. And they're working on a playbook on how to bring student athletes back and how to open our venues, whether it's football or any other venue. And so, here's the way to wrap that all up. We are studying and looking into numerous ways where we can mitigate the risk. when our student athletes come back, when our coaches work, our staff works, and when our fans come back to Kinnick, Carver, and our other venues. We're looking for ways we can mitigate the risk of contracting the virus. We'll communicate the things we're doing, and we'll be transparent about the things we're doing to mitigate. And then it's going to come down to individual choice. Fans are going to have to choose. Do I want to go or do I not? Or if there's some personal reason, maybe it's a health reason, maybe it's just discomfort. Fans will, once they know what we're doing to mitigate, then they'll make a choice to attend or not attend. And they'll also make a choice to protect others around them. There's that great picture, I think most of you, if not all of you, have seen from 1918 at the Georgia Tech football game. And they were all wearing masks and fedoras. I doubt we'll come back with the fedoras, but you know, I could see people wearing masks throughout the stadium. Maybe everyone will wear a mask. I don't know yet. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I'm going to run down some specific things fairly quickly because some of you have brought them up, or I've certainly heard the questions, or I anticipate them. Voluntary workouts, season ticket holders, Kinnick preparation, finances. I'm going to start with the University of Iowa planning. There's a group every day on campus, and I sit in on many of those meetings, and they're going through from A to Z, identifying mitigation in preparation for bringing students and faculty and staff back on campus in the fall. That's plan A. To reopen the campus, probably in steps, but to reopen the campus and this fall be back having in-person classes as well as some online. And there's groups looking at the academic experience, the dorms, the dining, the bus system, you know, and I won't go through the list because it's about as long as you can possibly get. So that's all going on. And part of that group, it's important for me to introduce you to that group and what they're doing, because when we knew that the NCAA was going to approve voluntary workouts, which you all know will begin on June 1st, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we started working on that. And we sat down and we went through that same group, the CDC, the state rules and laws, and the Big Ten advisory group, the infectious disease group. And then we put together a group, UIHC, working with our doctors, and eventually involving, you know, strength coaches and athletic trainers and our main coaches, sport coaches. And so we then brought that plan, we put together a plan, and we brought it to the CIMT, the Critical Incident Management Team that's working to reopen campus. And they included us as a pilot project. So there's athletics that has a pilot project and research. And so we're working on that. And so we will bring student athletes back. We'll bring them back in waves. And we'll try to learn through the month of June. We're going to see what we learn as we bring students back and coaches in this scenario. It's going to be phased in. June 8th is when our football student athletes will begin their voluntary workouts. That's a key component here. It's voluntary workouts. So not all student athletes are back. Not all student athletes will come back. But once the gyms started opening up in our state and across the country, and we got clearance from the NCAA, we know that we can control the environment and create, we can control how we create safety within our gyms and our facilities. And so football, June 8th, and then phasing in with that team, and then basketball, men's and women's, on June 15th. And then after that, phasing in some of our other fall sports, wrestling, and some other sports. So the month of June is really going to be this phase back into bringing some of our students back and getting them ready and learning a lot in the month of June. The month of June, we'll learn a lot that will help us in July and August. And each step is going to be helpful. There's protocols. Student athletes are going to be tested. They're going to be screening every day to get in and out of the building. There will be cleaning protocol every time a space is used. There's going to be entrances, that, you know, maybe one entrance per building and one exit per building, so that those can be controlled. All of the things that we're going to do, a long list of things we're going to do to mitigate and create a safe environment. And then we'll go through this month of June. We'll phase it in. We'll be learning as we go, and we'll see where we end up. So that's sort of the voluntary return. You may have seen, or you probably know, that no required team activities can occur until July 1 at least. That's been put as the next date, and that'll be watched throughout this month, and maybe extended, maybe approved beginning July 1. So we'll take a look at that. Switching over to season ticket holders, fans, again, we're preparing to allow as many Hawkeye fans that want to come back the ability to come back. As of yesterday, we're at about 48,000 tickets, season tickets. That's a combination of public, faculty, staff, and students. And the renewal deadline is, we had extended the deadline. I think everybody knew that. May 29th is when season ticket date is ending. And we created more payment plans for our fans so that if they needed to spread those out. And so we'll continue to go through that process. We are preparing for something less than 100% if that becomes the approach we have to take. And if we do, we have a well understood and well utilized point system. And so actually 48,000 was the number we had a year ago. And so we're right kind of where we were in terms of season tickets last year, including the students. So if we have to come in at less than 100%, and again, we're preparing for that as well as 100%, we'll use our season ticket holder base, we'll use our priority point system, and we'll have tickets available for our students. So that's how we'll determine. If we have to go anything lower than 48,000, we'll have a plan. But right now, that's plan B. Plan A is the ability to have everybody who's purchased those tickets being able to come. If fans choose not to renew this year, we certainly understand there are going to be those. It might be a financial concern. It might be a health concern. But what we're going to do, if we have to interrupt the seating at all in 2020, we'll go back to 2019 as our starting point, and everybody going into 2021 will have the opportunity to renew those same seats. So hopefully that makes sense. On the ticketing front, I want to make sure, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a longtime employee, Pam Fink. She's been with us for 35 years. She had, just to be clear, she had been working on her retirement plan long before this pandemic. And so this has nothing to do with the pandemic. She was planning on retiring this year. And she, for those who know her, and any of our season ticket holders have probably talked to her, many have met her in person. She is customer service to the nth degree. And I certainly wish her the best in her next journey. Fortunately, the bullpen was well stocked. And Jess Rickardson, who's been with us for about 20 years, we've named him interim director, assistant athletic director for ticketing. And he's we won't miss a beat under Jess's leadership. So that's kind of where we're at in ticketing. I mentioned Kinnick Stadium. I probably don't have to say a lot more. Again, we're going to refer to CDC. We're going to refer to the Big Ten playbook. We're going to look to make sure we're following any state guidance or directives. And then we're going to prepare the stadium with whatever those directives are. We're going to tell our fans what we've done, whether it's entryways, whether it's concessions and how we're going to manage those. And we'll list all the things we've done for protection within the stadium. And then we'll let fans make that personal choice of whether or not they're going to come. I know how badly I want football to occur this fall. I know how badly Kirk wants it. I know how badly our student athletes want it. They're chomping at the bit. And I know our fans desperately want to be able to come back to Kinnick Stadium. So that's where we're at on that. I have one more thing, and then I'll open it up for questions. I don't have a lot to update on finances since the last time we visited. I think last time we talked, I mentioned that we're finishing up this fiscal year. June 30th is the end of our current fiscal year. Not a lot has changed. Hiring freeze slash, spending freeze, plus everybody's fully employed through the end of this fiscal year. We haven't made any changes there. We're going to cover any shortfall. We anticipate it will be seven figures, multiple seven figures, but we have reserves prepared to cover that shortfall. And then we've dug in pretty deep into some assumptions for next year. We don't have final numbers. We know that our revenue will be down, even under a best case scenario. We're certainly planning for a reduction in revenue. And we've been communicating internally with our staff. We're talking about operating cuts. We're talking about compensation cuts. And I've been so grateful and amazed. We have regular meetings with our head coaches, with our senior staff, with some of our other leadership groups. We've had a few all-staff meetings via Zoom. And our staff has been amazing in just helping us identify how we're going to put together next year's budget, knowing that it's going to be a shared sacrifice. And I know all of you, whether it's your business area, your particular outlets, or everybody at home, everybody's trying to figure this out financially going forward. So we'll keep communicating with our staff. At some point, when we have enough information to share definitively, we'll share that more publicly. And again, we're preparing for different scenarios, kind of A, B, and C. And A is the one that we're getting pretty close to putting a ribbon on. And then B and C are deeper, and those will get even more challenging. But that's kind of where I'm at. I've been talking with ADs in the Big Ten every day. Today we had another Big Ten AD and football coaches meeting. We have head coaches meetings every week. We have all staff meetings regularly. We have senior staff meetings once a week as a full group, and then individually every day. So I will pause there, Steve, and hopefully I covered a lot of the things that were on your list, but certainly willing to address other questions as they come up.
Sure. Thanks, Gary. Maybe we could just go just a little bit further into next week. How much of Kirk's staff will be allowed back in, that first week, and then maybe any general precautionary measures or standard procedures once the student athletes start coming in, whether it's June 8th with football or in another facility June 15th with men's and women's basketball.
Yeah, so the approach, the pilot project that was approved by the critical incident management team on campus, we send them the lists of people. It's actually not necessarily every name, but it's how many staff members are essential to have football fully operating under this volunteer environment. It's strength coaches, it's athletic trainers, it's the full-time coaches, and a few other support people. And then, we'll do the same in the other sports. There are a few people like myself, a couple of other administrators who will be in that process so that we can be on campus, especially during this limited time with specific purpose. So now to the limitations. As I mentioned, there will be a door that you walk in the Hanson Performance or in Carver Hawkeye Arena. And there will be somebody screening everybody that comes in. One, making sure they're on the approved list. And then two, going through a screening process. And the medical staff is still finalizing it, but it will be things like you've heard, maybe a temperature scan, maybe a question of, how you're feeling today, if you had any other symptoms, and basically just going through a daily screen and making sure before you come into the building that you've gone through that process. And then there will be protocol in terms of if you're in the hallways or the public spaces, what do you have to do? Do you have to wear a mask? That's very likely. You're not going to wear a mask as you're actually working out. That's one of the unique differences of a student athlete versus most of us in social distancing. And so from a training perspective, when you have your mask off, and that's one of the reasons testing is going to be important. So those are, and then once you're done with your workout, leaving the building through the dedicated exit, having the number of student athletes that can train at one time, that'll be limited. So there's a long list of things, and again, we're going to learn from that list. These are voluntary workouts. When we move to the next step of required workouts, we'll have learned some things, and we'll be even more prepared and more efficient when we get to that point. And that'll be the same for the staff entering the building or the student athletes.